You're listening to The Main Event with Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. on WHIP.
My friends at Peerless Boilers want to remind you to replace that beast in your basement with an American-made Energy Star certified Peerless boiler. Peerless is the world's leader 90% plus efficient boilers, like the Peerless Purifier, the most thoroughly tested high-efficiency boiler in the world. You know the deal by now, folks. Go green, get green, save green, and put all the energy cost savings back where it belongs. Where? In your pocket. Check out the brand new WB90 high-efficiency oil-fired boiler. Visit PeerlessBoilers.com for a dealer nearest you, and remember, Peerless builds America's best boilers. Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. here with you, WHIP Radio in Philadelphia at Temple U, taking you up until noon Eastern time, where the Temple Sports Hour will come your way. Eagles coming off a tough loss yesterday. It was a blowout 53-20 over the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. And now joining us is a legendary WIP talk show host, and that's our good buddy Glen Macnow. Glenn, Zach, and Chase here in Philly. How are you?
I'm very well. My pleasure, guys.
Well, we appreciate you giving us a few minutes. And I texted you before the interview, and it came to my knowledge that you grew up in Buffalo. And I had my sister. She went to SUNY Buffalo for 4 years. And I always loved going up there and going to either Duff's or the Anchors Bar. What's your favorite wing place when you're in Buffalo?
Duff's was the place I grew up on. And the thing about Duff's was when I was there, you could get a pitcher of beer for about $1.50. Cheap beer, so we used to have cheap beer and all the wings we could eat. It was a full night's entertainment.
And how's the Conchi Brewing Company going?
Very well, thank you for asking. We opened a brewing company, the Conshohocken Brewing Company, 739 East Elm Street in Conshohocken, and people love it. We make good beer. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, heard great things about it. We got to get our way up there.
Wings and beer. There's nothing like it. I'm sure a lot of Eagles fans were drinking a lot of beer yesterday, pounding down the wings in the tough 53-20 loss. And Aaron Rodgers to Jordy Nelson is just one of the better combinations in the league. So is Tom Brady to Rob Gronkowski. If those four players stay healthy, Glenn, I think we're going to see a Packers-Patriots Super Bowl again.
I think there's a really good chance of it. The issue, and you said the main issue, which is who stays healthy. If you look at the tops of each conference, Arizona, well, they won yesterday with Stanton, but I think the backup quarterback is eventually going to cost them there. New England went into Indy last night and really handed it to the Colts. So, yeah, I would say if I'm picking the two favorites right now, you got them right on.
And I love Bruce Arians. That's no disrespect to him. I just don't see anyone beating that Packers offensive attack, especially if they have to go through Lambeau Field. And the Arizona Cardinals are a real special story right now. Bruce Arians is a Temple guy. But let's get to that Packers game. The secondary for the Eagles didn't come up with a good performance yesterday. Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson. Cobb had 10 for $129. Nelson was 4 for $109 and a touchdown. What went wrong in the secondary yesterday for the Eagles? Because they ran into a very hot and prolific passing offensive attack in the Green Bay Packers.
Well, what went wrong with the secretaries that got exposed? You've got bad quarterbacks there. You've got two substandard starting quarterbacks, and Nate Allen is a substandard starting safety. It's worked more often than not this year because you've been able to put pressure on the quarterback. The defensive line had a particularly bad game. They got one sack from Vinny Curry, just one. And when you give Aaron Rodgers time, he's going to kill you. And even when you make a move, he's going to kill you. And they were able to do nothing pressuring the quarterback.
Glen Macnow joined us right now. And Glenn, as soon as that game was over, I sat back and I was just thinking about this loss. And a phrase came to mind of everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And the Eagles were punched in the mouth. And we haven't really seen a performance like this in the Chip Kelly area. I know that Broncos game last year was ugly. But what's your level of concern with how the Eagles can respond to a loss like this where they were just dominated in every phase of the game?
Well, I like you quoting Mike Tyson. I actually used another quote, which is from the movie Goodfellas, which was everybody needs to get their butt kicked once in a while, and yesterday it was the Eagles' turn. In the big picture, here's what it means. It means that when it comes down to playoff spots, the Eagles may have to win the division because there's going to be a lot of tiebreakers for wild cards. And the Eagles have now lost to San Francisco, they've lost to Arizona, they've lost to Green Bay, which means they lose tiebreakers to any of those three teams. The Eagles could win 10 games and miss the playoffs. They could win 11 games and miss the playoffs. It means you're going to have to win the division. That's what yesterday's loss really means.
And do you think LaShawn McCoy is off? He was excellent last year. He averaged over 5 yards per carry. This year, he's in the high threes. And to me, Glenn, he's just looking a step slow. He's a little bit hesitant to hit the hole. I know the offensive line is banged up, but McCoy doesn't look like the same guy.
No, he doesn't look like the same guy. I've thought that for most of the year. I don't know what it is. I mean, running backs sometimes just have one great year, and that's what they have. He does seem hesitant. That's the word you used, and you're exactly right. And you'd say it could be the line or something else, but every time Darren Sproles runs the ball, he's getting off 6-7 yards.
Exactly.
So I think there is something with McCoy. He was okay yesterday. I mean, he had 88 yards, although stuff to judge in a blowout. Last year, if you remember, it was this back half of the year, the second stretch, where he really got it together. I think he had 830 yards in the last 7 games. Maybe that's about to happen, but right now he's not the same player he was.
And they got to get him more of a consistent effort because, as we all know, a quarterback's best friend is a good run game. And Mark Sanchez, we've seen 2 Mark Sanchez's. We've seen him in the past go up to Indianapolis, go to Foxborough, get big wins in the playoffs where he managed the game up against Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. And then we've seen a Mark Sanchez in the falling out with the Jets that really just turned over the football, had the butt fumble and all that stuff. Are you a believer in Mark Sanchez? Can he get the job here done in Philadelphia to get them to the playoffs?
I don't know yet, and I don't mean to hedge, but I really liked him when he came in and relieved 2 weeks ago. I thought he did a nice job last week against Carolina, although, again, it's a blowout, so it's tough to judge. But yesterday he was the evil Mark Sanchez. 2 interceptions, 3 fumbles. He was very inaccurate. It was just a poor performance by him. Now, he gets an easy one next week against Tennessee. The Eagles will blow them out. And it all leads up to Thanksgiving against Dallas, and that's, I think, when you really can start judging him.
Glen Macnow is our guest, WHIP Radio here in Philadelphia. Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. here with you at Temple University, all via iHeartRadio. Let's get to Zach Ertz. Only 10 targets in the last 3 games. You think Chip Kelly's going to drop a few more plays to go Ertz's way?
No, I think he's keeping Ertz in, or he has been keeping Ertz in more to block than to go out. I think that because of the shuffles in the offensive line and now Harriman's out, I think they've needed the offensive line more to block. I would love to see him become more of the offense. And I think eventually he will be a top-flight tight end, but I think right now they're using him to protect more. I think he had 4 catches yesterday, which was okay, but nothing special yet.
Glenn, I'm not sure I've seen a quarterback in my short lifetime that is as hot right now as Aaron Rodgers is, and I'll pose this question for you: at their absolute apex of Rodgers, Brady, Manning, and Breeze, who would you take at their absolute apex?
Absolute apex, I'd take Brady.
Brady?
Because I just think Brady is. Listen, they're all winners, and all 4 of them have won a Super Bowl. But if their skills are phenomenal, all 4. I guess the way I would reason the question is, if I had to win one game with the same amount of talent around, who would I pick? And I would pick Brady.
Yeah, and lastly for me, Glenn, what can Billy Davis do to help this defense? Because the secondary is weak, as we talked about, and the pass rush has been inconsistent. Against Carolina, they were lights out. Against the Giants, they were very good. But if they can't get pressure on the quarterback, and they're going up against an elite quarterback, this secondary is exposed, and they can get picked apart in a hurry.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't do more zone blitzes yesterday, which he didn't do much. And I think the issue is with Rodgers, if you blitz him, I guess he beats you more, and I think he was a little afraid. You can do that more against other quarterbacks. That's what he's going to have to do, disguise some of the coverage a little bit. He's got to cover up for those weak corners. It surprised me yesterday, as bad as Bradley Fletcher played, he just left him in the entire game. I would have benched him just to make a point. But I guess that's my answer. He's got to try to disguise it so that they don't look as bad.
We're here with Glen Macnow. Final one, Glenn, before we let you run. If you want to take one positive out of the loss yesterday, I would say it's the play of Jordan Matthews. Him and Sanchez have a real special connection these days.
Yeah, Matthews had another really good game, had over 100 yards for the second week in a row, and as a rookie, he's really making his mark. Jeremy Maclin continued his excellent year with 9 catches and a touchdown. And that's it. That's where the list of players who played well ends. I guess Cody Parkey, if you want to throw in the kicker. But that's the entire list of the guys who played well. And, boy, it was a pretty pathetic performance.
Well, we were listening to you yesterday on the radio on the drive back from Penn State as Temple went down to the Nittany Lions as their losing streak continues since 1941. But excellent appearance today, Glenn. We appreciate a few minutes. Thanks so much.
Anytime, guys. Have a good one.
There's Glen Macnow from WIP Sports Talk.